Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have with us Rafael Chaudhry. He is very renowned and a very seasoned IT professional. And without having me to talk any further about him, I'll give him the floor. So, Rafael, if you can get started and tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Thanks, Saad, for giving me the opportunity. My background is basically from Lahore, born and bred there. Um, Early career very focused on academics. Then I've moved in, and my whole schooling from Crescent Model Higher Secondary School in Lahore. And I did my O levels and A levels from there as well. And I think from there and O levels and A levels, I started breaking more into socially active as well. Until eighth, not so much. I was more focused on studies, had to get good grades and everything. But when you go into O and A levels, you meet other people from other school as well. That's why I started becoming more socially active. And then I continued my education in Lahore. My parents wanted me to be in Lahore, and then went to FAST Lahore for my undergraduate studies. At that time, they recently started a program called Telecommunication Engineering. So uh, when I went to FAST, I think I studied less, was more into extracurricular activities, and developed a strong social circle, and which is still helping me until now. Um, and then from there, I was involved in, from early on organizing big events, international events. Um, like I remember back in like 30 years back, doing an event of, 5 million for a student body was unusual, which we used to do. Um, and after I graduated from FAST, I went to pursue my entrepreneurial venture. And the reason for that was I did some internships in Varid and Telenor back in the day. I was like, it's like, more of a coordination job, not my type. And me being more socially active at that time, I'm like, okay, let's do. So I did my first venture in the as a design, as a design agency, but when we failed miserably, because back then in Pakistan, nobody used to pay in design or UX or UI. Um, and then 8 months later, pivoted more into um, telecom sector. So we used to make those B2B applications for telecommunication companies, and we were doing good, but societal expectations, and back then, if you ask me in 2007, 8, if you would say use the word entrepreneurship in Pakistan, people would um, people would laugh. What are you even saying? So from there, I actually my parents wanted me to do the masters as well. So based on that, I found a program here at Waterloo, which was Master of Business Entrepreneurship and Technology. One of my friends, I still remember Sana Chaudhry. She's still in Canada. She pushed me to do that program as well. So I ended up, there was no plan, last moment admissions closed. I, ended up at Waterloo, did that program, and I went back as planned. But at that time, there was a new pilot program, which is now gone into a Canadian experience class, or I would say federal program, was the provincial nomination program. And through that, I had an opportunity to apply for the PR, which I got very quickly. So I literally moved back within 5 to 6 months. Um, Initially, I was planning to return to Pakistan after acquiring Canadian citizenship. My plans changed as I established roots here, and then, which included getting married at some point. And so once I got married, I'm like, okay, now so before I got married, mostly it was mostly project management role. So in terms of skill transfer, I was using the same project management skills that I acquired during my entrepreneurial career, and basically moved into project management jobs initially for the first few years here. And then couple of years back, maybe around 2016, 2017, started pivoting into product management space. And And so now I'm, still in the product management and consultancy, technology consultancy space. I consult for a few companies. Um, and as I started doing that, that whole concept of giving back comes back as well. So I started this community engagement with a lot of, people who were trying to get into the market, and that led me to creating the FAST Universities alumni chapter here in Canada as well, which has grown to now 700 members.
Nice.
So reflecting on my journey, just to summarize it, there was obviously challenges of transitioning to a new country, but I do emphasize the opportunities and the support available for immigrants today, which wasn't there 10 to 15 years back. And you know, that's pretty much my journey.
No, that's amazing. And I think you kind of summarized a lot of the things because we tend to have conversations amongst ourselves. And I know all the ventures and all the different kind of initiatives that you are involved in on a government level, on a provincial level, and on a municipality level. And you're trying to build those relationships and bridges. But we will have those discussions sometimes later on. But one last question for you for today, since you kind of summarized everything very nicely. For those people who are moving into Canada now, and I believe you mentioned from an entrepreneurship perspective, you that was your initial take. What is your take now to somebody who's moving into Canada? How should they position themselves in your particular domain?
A very tricky question, but I would say that I can't like my their journey would obviously would be different than my journey. There are a lot of, I would say, a lot of things that have gotten better. When we came in, there was obviously an issue of acceptance of immigrants. Now with so much immigration that has happened, a lot of people have broken the barriers, and now the and going into the market is easier. But I would say that my journey exemplifies the potential for growth and success in community building. My advice to the new immigrants would be the networking is crucial. Um, Now you have LinkedIn. I know the LinkedIn was there in 2010 as well, but it was not used. It was mostly like a resume portal. People didn't use to interact like as a social platform. No, like you would message somebody in 2010, 11 on LinkedIn, they would, highly unlikely that they would actually respond to you. But now there are a lot of people here who are willing to help you. So I would say networking is the key. And then the biggest thing that I've learned, and I think that the immigration, and I see the immigrant actually now struggle, is that they live in the same cultural space. So you have to understand the Canadian workplace culture as well. There are some values that you need to understand. Obviously, now with the more emphasis on DEI, how you want to do that, and obviously update your skills. So I would say, Canadian market is not like, hey, you are a jack of all trades and you can, just go and fit into any role. So if you want to be a QA, you have to do a certification. You want to be a product owner, you have to do the product owner certification. You want to go into HR, there's an HR certification. You want to go into career counseling, there's a career counseling certification. So you have to kind of be very focused which career you want to pursue. Language skills are very important. It's not about English, it's also about how you communicate and the impression that you're giving. Obviously, there's a cultural barrier, like there's a tone with language, you need to understand the tone as well. Resume tailoring. What I've seen or encountered an issue is that when you're trying to counsel somebody and help somebody, they're just trying to, sometimes get frustrated that why you asking us to change our resume. But obviously, different parts of the world, different resume, formats. Then obviously there are different job search strategies as well. The job search strategies that work in maybe Pakistan or Middle East do not necessarily work here. So you need to kind of, leverage LinkedIn, use networks, use warm referrals. um, and one of the things that I also feel is, understanding Canadian workplace rights, right? So you actually have, once you come from Middle East, there are a lot of workplace rights. certain, things that are actually in the laws of Canada. And one of the things that I really, really, really want to emphasize for the new immigrants would be the financial planning aspect of it. And this is the question that I always get when people are immigrating here, and I always let them know that, hey, you need to pick your um, there are pros and cons of coming to a new country. So when you come here, there obviously is going to be a financial burden. Plan for finances when you come here, create a budget, and consider the cost of living. And now there are a lot of financial resources available for newcomers as well, from the government program, settlement services, and cultural adaptation. And I think the last thing where I would like to finish would be probably leverage the networks that we have created over the last 10-15 years, whether it be CPK or FAST alumni, GIKI alumni, or IBA alumni. These networks have been created because the people like us who came initially and didn't have that these kind of networks. So put yourself out there, request for assistance. Every alumni association here has 600 members. They are working at some company. Reach out to them, have a coffee chat with them, and try to understand their experience. Like, you're taking my interview and asking for all these things, but you should reach out to people of your interests, who are in your field, and try to learn from them. And that's how you're probably gonna uh, make a good life in Canada.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you very nicely summarized everything that should have been said and mentioned. So thank you so much for taking, first of all, time out from your busy schedule, Rafael. And hopefully in future we will try to do some follow-up sessions as well. But thank you so much for taking the time out.